Shall we start?
Yeah.
Friends, this is the press conference after the Central Committee meeting we had from 3rd to 5th, that is till yesterday. This is the first Central Committee meeting we had after the 24th Congress of our party. The meeting started with condoling the death of people killed in terrorist strike in Pahalgam on 22nd April. He also condoled the loss of life in the unseasonal floods in the northeast and the unfortunate deaths of people in stampede in Bangalore. Those who were celebrating the IPL victory. Apart from the deaths, lot of people. Central Committee in its meeting reviewed the evolving political developments within the country and abroad. And the most important development was, as discussed in our Central Committee, the genocidal war by the Zionist government under the beginning of this generation, aimed at erasing Gaza, and every effort to force a ceasefire met with the opposition of Zionist Netanyahu and US immediate forces. When CC was meeting, there was the discussion about the possibility of a ceasefire. Very serious, rigorous efforts were there. But now, it has not succeeded, and bloodshed is continuing. Apart from the murder, the genocidal elimination of dozens of children, women, and people every day. Through forced starvation, as the supply lines are being cut. Starvation is also taking place in Gaza. So Party Central Committee demanded the central government, the Modi government, to stop arms export to Israel. Stand of Indian people and the government of India. That is being abandoned by together, remain together. When the terrorists wanted to divide India, the way in which the terrorist strike was organized, they identified with the religious identity of people, those who were there. That was clearly to make a religion-based division within the Indian people. They expected that there would be a similarly communal backlash to their move to murder people after having identified them with religion. But the people of Kashmir and people of India refused to get trapped into this communal politics of division. There the response of the people of Kashmir especially is notable. They had candlelight processions together. They protested against terrorist violence together. Apart from all this, the response of one person trying to protect those who were being killed by the terrorists. Adil Shah, he got killed by trying to protect the innocent tourists from the firing of the terrorists. We are a delegation from CPIM with members of parliament belonging to both houses of parliament, the details of which you would find in the handout given to you. We will be visiting Srinagar and we most likely would be meeting the family members of Adil Shah also with me. All this displayed the unity of Indian people in the face of terrorism. And we have already discussed how Aditi, the daughter of Ramachandran, was murdered in Pahalgam. He is from Kerala. I personally had the experience of meeting the family members, including all of them in the Pahalgam. So she repeated what she initially stated, which is well known to me, that she said she lost her father. Her father was shot dead in front of her eyes. Even though I lost my father, I got two elder brothers, Musafir and Samir, from Jammu and Kashmir. Though the people remain united in the face of this terrorist attack, people of Kashmir and people in other parts of India, after a particular point of time, communal forces started working overtime in our country. When daughter of slain Ramachandran Aditi stated this, she was probed for having stated that people of Kashmir defended her. Then we all know what happened with Sophia operation, how she was told, how Foreign Secretary was told. So initially when the Indian country remained united in the face of this horrendous terrorist strike, there were systematic efforts from communal forces to indirectly help the interest of the terrorists of reviving India. So our subcommittee very sharply criticized this, and the attitude of the government of India in not taking sufficient stringent measures to put an end to these efforts by sections of people, communally oriented people, to use Pahalgam incident and its aftermath to communally divide the people, to generate jingoism and pseudo-nationalism. We are sorry to state that a section of the mainstream media, mainstream media also played a very, very uncivil approach in planning up jingoism. Some newsrooms have been converted into war rooms and clamoring for military confrontation. At this point of time, CPIM stated, without any hesitation, terrorism has to be handled, suppressed with a heavy hand. But we have to exhaust all possible measures, political, diplomatic, and various other measures to deal with the situation and to bring the culprits to book. In the initial response itself, we have flagged the issue of security lapses which played a part in the most painful loss of lives in Pahalgam. How could these assailants muster so much of courage to very, very quietly inquire about the identity, religious identity of people and kill them one by one? And after having executed this heinous crime, one of them would escape. I think it's almost 100 kilometers distance to the border. And Indian security and intelligence forces had to concede that none of the assailants would be apprehended. So the accountability of those who are in charge of this has to be fixed. The immediate reason for the assassination of such a group of innocent tourists by terrorists who crossed the border and quietly reached the place of action is the security failure. But there is also the overall situation that unfolded in Jammu and Kashmir. The Home Minister claimed many a time, including on the floor of Parliament, that after revocation of Article 370 and converting a special status state, that is Jammu and Kashmir, into two union territories, security has totally been restored. There is no terrorist movement in Jammu and Kashmir, according to the police. And now, the reality we are able to understand. So, in order to ensure a peaceful and secure Jammu and Kashmir and India, the unity of people should be ensured. Confidence has to be generated among people. But the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they have the feeling that the due is not being ensured to them. There is an elected government now. We understand that when important meetings to review the security during this eventful times used to be undertaken, the Lieutenant Governor participated in that security review meetings, and the elected Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir is not allowed to attend the security review meetings. Because security, even local policing, is under the control of Amit Shah and Narendra Modi. Because Jammu and Kashmir is a union territory. The elected government there doesn't have any authority, quote unquote, to deal with the situation. So this kind of alienation is not the right thing to ensure the improvement of the security atmosphere, which is very, very important in dealing with terrorism. Now, the attitude of the Prime Minister of our country in such a situation. 2 all-party meetings have been convened. The Prime Minister refused to attend these meetings. How should the people of India view this? It is not that Prime Minister had other more important work to do. No. He was going to states and giving lectures, speeches, rhetoric. And leaders of Indian political parties are convened to discuss the most serious matters related to the security of our country. Prime Minister sends his junior colleagues. How the responsibility? The irresponsibility of the Prime Minister doesn't stop there. He chooses to have meetings with BJP chief ministers and chief ministers who are part of the BJP-led NDA alliance. He held on such meetings. Then on the sidelines of the Niti Aayog meeting, again he held a second meeting with only chief ministers of BJP and chief ministers belonging to the BJP-led NDA alliance. By behaving like this, instead of having an image of Indian Prime Minister, he himself is converting his image as a BJP Prime Minister. He is not the Prime Minister for BJP alone or NDA alone. After all, he is the Prime Minister of the country. That responsibility he is abandoning. Then, by discriminating against chief ministers belonging to non-BJP, non-NDA states, he comes forward through his minister, Kiran Rijiju, that diplomatic outreach delegations would like to visit various countries to explain our collective approach towards terrorism, how India is dealing with terrorism, how India is a victim of terrorism. We want to explain these things abroad. We want you also to join. So far as our party is concerned, our party floor leader was approached to Rajya Sabha. He discussed with the party. But how BJP government behaved with other political parties? What is the democratic approach? They should inform the political parties. We want to send delegation, we want this many representatives from your party. Then parties can decide. We can consider a more modified approach, that this delegation be one with some specific diplomatic responsibilities of convincing and arguing with others in foreign countries. We want people with certain competence and capability from your parties. So we suggest these names. If you also agree, we would like to take, they can indicate. But what actually they have done? They had a plan to create problems apparently in different political parties. So that approach was faulty, wrong, undemocratic. We know how these things are done with regard to power. I personally have the experience of being a whip of my party or entity. So there were many delegations. It's a democratic process. So such processes are being abandoned by the BJP government. So finally, various political parties have agreed, including opposition political parties, have agreed to cooperate in this particular task of the outreach program. And our representative was also part of one of the delegations. Now we want to ask the Prime Minister, we the opposition, notwithstanding our reservations about the way in which Narendra Modi government handled all these matters with reservation, with certain criticism. We participated in the outreach program upon the request of the government of the day. Are you willing to reciprocate our demand for a special session of Parliament? You did not participate in all party meetings as Prime Minister. Okay, now why don't you call a special session of Parliament exclusively to discuss Pahalgam and the aftermath? Not a word about that. Then the ceasefire. Our party wanted non-escalation. When Government of India declared that we had the focused, measured, non-escalating, targeted action at the terrorist citadels, terrorist training camps, we were mostly following. Then we stated on the next day of the action, that is on 8th, there was all-party meeting. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, he stated in the all-party meeting on record that we have achieved our objectives and goals through Operation Census. Then our representative said, if the objective has been achieved through Operation Sindoor now, this is on 8th, so we have to move for de-escalation now. As per the claim of the government, you should be willing for de-escalation. But they were unwilling. Then comes the tweet of the US President Donald Trump that he and his team, spending sleepless hours, succeeded in both sides accepting ceasefire. Then congratulating the leaders of both the sides. He is the one who announced the ceasefire. CPIM was for de-escalation. Ceasefire at the earliest. No doubt about that. But what Mr. Narendra Modi has to explain to us how this ceasefire has been achieved. Narendra Modi has not opened his mouth about this particular word as said. Directly. Directly he did not say it. Now the latest report today is apparently Russia is recognizing the role of USA in establishing ceasefire through the intervention of United States of America. Here the point is that in Shimla Agreement, it is explicitly incorporated that problems between India and Pakistan would be discussed and resolved through bi-party discussions. Third-party intervention and participation is impermissible. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has to clarify that approach of Shimla Agreement and time-tested consensus in Indian political sphere. All political parties of our country agree for this. Apparently this is being valid. This also underlines the requirement of a special session of Parliament to discuss We are opposed to internationalization of India-Pakistan relationship, internationalization of Kashmir problem. Now about the latest so-called security doctrine of Narendra Modi, which he has declared as new normal. The government shot of this so-called new doctrine is that if some terrorist activity happens somewhere, we consider it as an attack on India by Pakistan. And every terrorist action would be deemed as an attack by Pakistan or India. And we would handle it accordingly. There cannot be a more faulty approach. This means that India-Pakistan relationship and the nature of relationship can be determined by a group of terrorists somewhere. Many terrorists may operate autonomously, independently. So they can decide whether there should be a military confrontation between India and Pakistan. Only they need to go into action somewhere. It's an atrocious position, unbecoming of a responsible country, to state that anything happens as a result of a group of terrorists somewhere in the country, we would deem it as an action by these terrorists incited and transported or organized by Pakistan. There are many instances of communal hatred in different forms being propagated in different parts of our country, including a BJP state chief minister describing a respected officer in uniform as a sister of terrorists. What Madhya Pradesh BJP minister spoke about Sophia operation. Such irresponsible statements coming even from ministers and members of parliament belonging to BJP, the ruling party. This is a very, very dangerous situation. Then we have migrant Muslims, particularly Bengali-speaking individuals, being targeted as Bangladeshis, and they are forcefully pushed into no man's land in the border with Bangladesh. It's a very, very explosive situation developing. And in those border areas, people communally selected are being armed, giving them the task of physically dealing with so-called Bangladeshis. And many of them have been recognized as having all the relevant papers for their Indian citizenship, as Indian citizens. Some of them are also being pushed. There may be infiltrators, we recognize. In the border areas, there could be infiltrators. But such infiltrators should be given all legal opportunity, protection of all legal opportunity to argue their case. Forceful, irresponsible migration, pushing them into this no man's land. This is happening in different, even Bangladesh, Tripura border also. There are reports of such things having happened. Now the claim of India having emerged as the fourth strongest economy in the world. Statistics can be utilized for various purposes. Maybe according to various statistics, it can be ascertained. That's one aspect of it. But what is the kind of inequality that persists in our country? More than 80 crore people are to be given free foodstuffs. According to Government of India, there is a program of free or subsidized foodstuff. Certain quantity free, certain other quantity subsidized. Is being distributed 83 crore. That shows the condition of Indian people. So without going into the actual condition of the people in the bottom half, just taking the average, calculating the billionaires are their profit, it would be a faulty understanding of Indian economy. This also we have discussed. Then privatization continuing. Strategically important nuclear area, nuclear production area. This is also sought to be privatized. And there is legal, measures. We have this US nuclear reactor manufacturers to be accommodated in India. Nuclear liability clause in the relevant legislation. That is being amended. We were also party actively participating in the 123 agreement, the civilian nuclear agreement. Then we insisted that there should be sufficient safeguards and protections for Indian people in the event of a nuclear disaster. Certain provisions were there. Now Modi government is bringing in legislation to do away with that in order to make Western and American billionaires in the nuclear business happy that their responsibility would be cut off. Now American team is expected to be in our country any moment to negotiate bilateral trade agreement. As per the information available, if the agreement is going to be arrived at the way in which it is being heard through various press reports, Indian farmers would be getting adversely affected. Medium, micro, small and medium enterprises would stand to suffer. Pharmaceutical industry would also suffer. We would be reacting to that kind of a situation by our trade union movement, our present movement and so on. You see, with inordinate delay, finally now the census procedure has been announced. It would be in the year of 2027. Various apprehensions are expressed about the intentions of government modalities. Following the census, there is the possibility of delimitation also. Leaders from southern states, as well as some other northern states like Himachal Pradesh, expressed their apprehension as to how many of the seats available from these states will get reduced and the balance of geopolitical structure, how it would be absent. So we are of the very firm opinion that there has to be an all-party meeting to discuss this particular issue. Census-related issue. Caste census also is being announced. Then how delimitation is going to be effected. Because this decennial census is part of our constitutional provision, unlike many other countries. And once this decennial census is being effected, delimitation also being taken up. These are interrelated. Now there is very, very serious apprehension among the people of South India and few other states, including North India like Himachal Pradesh, that the political balance and the number of representatives of each region that would be in Indian Parliament. These are all raising a lot of apprehensions. In fact, Mr. M.K. Stalin convened a meeting of chief ministers and political party leaders to discuss this. So before any decision is taken about this census as well as caste census and delimitation, a meeting of the political parties represented in Parliament at least is essential. Then we have a very, very serious matter related to a Supreme Court verdict on the power of governments. How long they can sit over the will of the people. See, state legislatures express the will of the people. The governor is expected to act on the decision and advice of the Council of Ministers in the state. And when a legislation is passed by state legislature, governors are expected to put in their signature as soon as possible. This is the idea that we understand, realize from the constitutional portion. It is true that constitution does not speak exactly within how many months or something like that. So this has been pending for a long period. We know an extraordinary judgment and observation has been made by Supreme Court, even specifying a time period for the President of our country. Media discussed this. It was an extraordinary observation by the Supreme Court to address an extraordinary situation. But now, central government refuses to accept the Supreme Court verdict, and a special route of presidential reference to the same court is being resorted to. These are all creating unnecessary delay in the entire process. The state of Kerala is also having similar problems. The functioning of many universities are in limbo. Temporary vice chancellors are running the responsibility of many universities in many states. I know at least the situation of two states, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So this also shows that the government led by Mr. Narendra Modi doesn't have, in a democratic sense, even the highest court of our country makes clear a particular matter. Central government is again taking a route which will only delay the entire process. This is very adversely affecting the federal structure in our country, center-state relations in our country. Some committee has decided to extend support to the general strike called by various trade unions on 9th July. They are raising the very anti-worker labor codes. This is going to ruin the democratic trade union functioning in our country. Various trade union organizations have collectively called for the strike. Actually, May 20th was the day of their strike. With the developments in our border, they have decided to delay it by more than a month. So this is going to take place on 9th of July. The same day, the farmers, the agricultural laborers, all of them are also going to participate in this struggle in solidarity with workers. Central Committee has decided to campaign throughout the country in solidarity with Palestinian people. The workers and peasants joint struggle, party has decided to extend support. I have already mentioned that a delegation is going to Jammu and Kashmir on 10th and 11th. Central Committee has taken many organizational decisions. This being the first Central Committee meeting after the party congress, responsibility of Politburo members, work allocation among Central Committee members, we have taken a decision. An important decision taken by the Central Committee is the formation of the General Secretariat, which is also given in the last part. Apart from the General Secretary, B.B. Ramakrishnan, Muralidharan, Rajendra Sharma, Dr. Hemalata, Vikram Singh and K.N. Umesh constitute the Central Secretary. This is what I would like to state with regard to the decision of the Central Committee. Sorry for being slightly late. There is one response to a speech made by RSS Sarsang Chali. He stated that the two-nation theory is creating problems. He elaborated. But we want to remind him that RSS has this Akhanda Bharata concept, aspiring to incorporate many sovereign countries existing today as part of the RSS Akhanda Bharata. And he has stated, behind every action of RSS cadre, I quote from Mohan Bhagat, behind every action of RSS cadre, the eternal thought of establishing Hindu Rashtra is there. This is what he has stated. When he speaks about establishing Hindu Rashtra, we know the foundation of Hindu Rashtra being explained by Savarkar. Then, of course, Madhava Sadashiva Golwalkar in his bunch of thought, where he speaks about three internal enemies in a particular chapter. I don't want to explain that. But in the speech of Mohan Bhagat, as reported in some newspapers, he speaks that we don't have any enemies. But bunch of thought speaks internal enemies in a particular chapter. So there is a lot of contradiction in the exposition of RSS leaders. At the ground level, what RSS leaders and Sangha Parivar, what they are doing is spreading hatred against, I quote, the other. Even, uniformed Sophia Qureshi, how their people told her. I don't have to explain anything. So the double speak of RSS Sarsang Challenge, Mr. Mohan Bhagat, is not going to cut any heads. This is what I would like to speak about Mr. Mohan Bhagat's observation as reported in today's newspaper.
So how do you see the outcome of the outcome from the delegation visit to various countries? What is your impression? Because there have been criticism that the delegation was sent because the foreign policy was not successful. So this delegation was supposed to be sent.
You see, we have only a brief report from our government who participated in the delegation. So we have to get more detailed report from him. According to John Britas, he was basically explaining what is the strength of India as a country, the diversity. How with different languages, different religions and different faiths, India remain together and how India is together against terrorism. This is what he has spoken in the outreach program whenever he had opportunity. And different representatives of political parties with their own, overall perspective, but generally upholding the overall Indian tradition of Socratic culture, plurality. And actually some criticism about the neighboring country who kind of contribute in some of these terrorist activities. But how this impacted upon the countries which they have visited, we have to wait and see. There are different views among the people of those countries. So we will have to get a detailed report.
Sir, we have seen recently Mamata Banerjee, she has mentioned when Prime Minister Narendra Modi has visited Bengal, that she has said that Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi is using Operation Sindoor for electoral purposes and political gains. How Central Committee sees the entire thing, that Narendra Modi going to different states and stating about Operation Sindoor?
You see, I think when did we meet the 10th of May, we had an opportunity to speak to the Election Commission of India. We were in a delegation to discuss various things. There we have cautioned the Election Commission that on the basis of our past experience, how various confrontations and incidents like Balakot, what happened after the Pulwama and all that, how BJP, its ministers, including Prime Minister, tried to politically exploit all those incidents in the past. We shared with the Election Commission that we have our apprehension that now what had happened, the tragedy that had happened in Pahalgam and the aftermath, this could also be misused politically to make advantage by the ruling party and its ministers. We have this apprehension. Now our apprehension has been proved right. This is what exactly Narendra Modi is doing wherever he goes. And the Prime Minister who doesn't find time, 1 hour, 2 hour, 2.5 hours to sit with the leaders of various political parties to discuss Pahalgam and the aftermath. He is finding so much of time to travel to distant states, addressing meetings. It speaks very poorly about the Prime Minister. It is unbecoming of Prime Minister. Knowing the meaning of it, we want to state that. Very unfortunate. The country remained united when terrorists strike. Did we not? Even with our criticism about the way in which government conducted itself, when an outreach program was being planned, he said we have all these reservations. But we participated. But now, Prime Minister is trying to make political capital out of what that can happen, which is wrong.
Have you discussed any concrete steps to increase or strengthen the party's mass base, and who will be in charge of your organization in the community?
See, we have discussion in the party congress about how the decline of the party influence can be stopped, how we can regain our influence, and how we can expand our influence. We had discussion in the party congress, but before the party congress, we had every state conference. There too we had detailed discussion. And different states have worked out certain plans. And we, in this first Central Committee meeting, had discussion and decision how the Central Party Congress decision can be implemented in different states and how Party PB and CC should help states for its implementation. And we have a timeline also to take up different tasks. And we are also visiting states to directly familiarize ourselves with the situation prevailing in different states. We have decided that various mass organizations should also work out their plan of expansion. So this we are going to undertake like next. As to your second question, who is in charge of organization? The entire Politburo is in charge of organization. And we have organization responsibility of different states. And General Secretary don't take up the state responsibility in particular because overall coordination. But other Politburo members are looking after 2 or 3 states. 2 states? 3 states in special cases. Then we have formed a sub-secretariat. They will also assist in overseeing organizational work. Central committee members are also attached to, but to improve the party organization at different level, every party member has to coordinate, right from branches programs. This is the understanding of the party programs. So, organization in charge over 1 million party members, they are all in charge of the organization. This is the concept we are trying to handle.
Many of the opposition ruled states has already initiated or conducted some kind of caste census already, but the left ruled Kerala was silent on this all these years. What is your comment on this?
In fact, my friend should remember that when EMS Namudipad was the chief minister during 1967-69 period, there was a study. The Tool Commission report is very famous, and that did play an important role in dealing with the caste-related reservation policy in the state of Kerala. So Kerala did contribute towards this. Now we are demanding for the entire country. As part of that, this will happen now in Kerala also.
Sir, will Kerala government be in charge of West Bengal? Will be in charge of West Bengal?
West Bengal has, 3 Politburo members are the state secretary, then Congress chief, and Congress Army. We have some very senior comrades having stepped down from their, important organizational responsibility due to the age cutoff that we have in 75. One such comrade is Comrade Viman Basu. But even Comrade Viman Basu's experience and services are being used as the chairman of the left front in Bengal. This is very important. Then this state secretary is called Bureau, then Sridhi and Ramendra. When 3 state Politburo members are there, or 2 Politburo members are there, in the case of important states, party center will help as and when they require any special help related to organizational matters or policy and political matters. Otherwise, the Politburo members of those states, they themselves will take care of that state. This is the practice we are following.
Sir, the Kerala government had placed a picture of Bharadamba in Rajkot and insisted a minister to place some floral greetings to that picture. And the minister agriculture minister had boycotted that function. And how you see that incident? And also CPI now demanded the Rashtrapati for calling him back. So what's the stand of CPI?
No, my friend, I am not now, I don't want to present the approach of CPA in relation to my friendly party. Each party can take its own very logical right approach. Their demand can also be made. What the governor of Kerala has done, I think is very unfortunate, and the governor should remember that he is governor. He is occupying an exalted position, an important constitutional position. Sitting in that constitutional position, he should not do anything which will draw controversy around the Rajkot and around himself as the governor. He has done something which he should not have done. He can worship Bharata Mata with the saffron flag and all that. This is I have seen in the newspapers. He can worship, but he should not make that as an official work of the government. Calling people, calling media, and for position. He can pray, he can worship Bharata Mata. This is some artist's imagination, this Bharata Mata, isn't it? So, he should not have got the office of the governor into such a controversy.
So there's a point here which says that CPIM will hold programs on 50 years of emergency, exposing the present day government. But at the same time, Congress is not mentioned here. Can you please elaborate a bit more on this? What kind of programs would be held and what is the overall aim?
When we refer to emergency, is there a need to make a reference to Congress? Everybody knows that emergency was declared by Mrs. Gandhi in Congress. So, during those days, we would be discussing how CPIM fought emergency. The present Kerala Chief Minister, he was very badly harmed physically. He was an MLA. He took the shot with full of blood as a result of the torture that he suffered in lockup. And he displayed that blood-stained shirt in the Kerala Legislative Assembly and he made a speech that's very famous. There is nothing to compare with that, but as a student activist, we also took out the first demonstration against emergency in Trivandrum, July 1st, 1975. And we were all arrested and we were put to jail under DIR, Defense of India rule. The veteran CPM leader, Communal V.S. Sachudanandan, who would be turning 102 within few months, is still there, so he has health problems. He was in jail, the former chief minister. So, and I don't want to mention about other components in different other parts of the country. So, CPIM fought for democracy. And when the 50th year comes, we would recapitulate those times, how we were in the forefront of holding the flag of democracy. And we would be exposing the dubious role of RSS, which is there behind the dubious role of RSS. In some places, some of them were popular, some of them were not. But Bala Saheb Deoras, the young journalist, did not necessarily know. He was the RSS Sarsanchalik during those days. He was also in jail, then he was released. He had meeting with Mrs. Gandhi. He told Mrs. Gandhi that, RSS is not doing anything, we will support 20-point program. Then he said, no, not only 20-point program, the other program of Sanjay Gandhi, 5 more. Okay. So this is the RSS. We will discuss all that. And finally we will say that today we have undeclared emergency in our country. And it is also an irony that who imposed emergency in 1975, they are now speaking about undeclared emergency and they are fighting against the undeclared emergency. That's a very good turn of events.
So some Congress leaders in Kerala is like saying that CPI is taking much tougher stance against the governor but not the CPM.
That is Congress observation. That is Congress observation. And we are not against the CPI taking a bolder position than CPI. We don't want to compete with CPI. We are very happy that the CPI takes a very bold position. We would also, if we need to emulate, all that is, we are two left parties, CPM and CPI, then CPI-ML, RSP, Forward Bloc, we all cooperate together. In our 24th party Congress, CPI leader was there, CPI-ML leader was there, RSP leader was there, Forward Bloc leader was there. Why should we be slightly upset to hear that one party is being more bold and firm and all that? It is good. Congress is sitting as a judge, to declare as to which party is more bold. I think we have had enough alcohol. Okay.
Sir, there is one confrontation between state PWD minister and PAC chairman in the national highway issue. And yesterday, the PWD minister said PAC chairman's intervention is very doubtful and it's political. How do you see that?
Now I hear from you. So on that basis, why should they respond? Let me find out the facts. Then you can call me, I can give you a response. No problem. Now I do not know much about it. Before responding, I should know what exactly is the matter. Okay? I'll check up with you and the journalists and the concerned people. Thank you very much.